When observing the countries in the world, we can see that some cultures prioritize wealth and power, while others exist as nomadic tribes, living at the level of hunter-gatherers. Meanwhile, certain cultures strictly enforce religious laws through corporal punishment. These cultural differences are often influenced by the soul ages of the people incarnating in these regions. Soul age represents the progression of a soul through 5 stages in its cycle of reincarnation: infant, baby, young, mature, and old soul. This can be compared to a "you are here" point on a map, indicating the starting point of the soul's journey, its current position, and the destinations it has yet to reach. While there are 7 stages in total, the 6th and 7th stages, namely Transcendental and Infinite souls, are not part of the reincarnational cycle. However, we will briefly cover them at the end of this video. Before delving into the concept of soul ages, let's briefly review the broader agenda of soul evolution. Generally, the purpose of souls is to seek experiences, and to do that, they seek suitable environments for their growth and learning. Individuals drawn to experience life on Earth separate themselves from the Tao or God, the origin of all souls, and join a collective consciousness known as an entity. These entities consist of approximately 1,000 individual fragments or essences. 7 entities, in turn, form a larger group called a cadre. Initially, each spark of consciousness explores potential planets in a devic form, which is an intelligent energy being without a physical body, harmonizing with nature. If the entire cadre agrees to embark on physical life after gaining experience in a devic state, each fragment must lower its energy frequency to solidify and begin the process of incarnating on the physical plane. Over many centuries, the individual essences gradually incarnate as individual human beings on Earth. Before each lifetime, every essence chooses its own culture, parents, body type, sex, and personality, often preferring to be near their entity mates for familiar and supportive relationships. Throughout numerous lifetimes, these individual essences accumulate vast amounts of experience, which are then shared with the entire entity. Each physical existence on the Earth plane shapes and enriches the essence's perspective. The primary way the soul evolves is by learning the ramifications of personal choice. All lessons are derived from that. Choices fueled by fear, for instance, which often lead to karmic outcomes, are gradually replaced during the reincarnational cycle with more loving and compassionate choices. Soul age indicates a person's growth based on their experiences on the planet, rather than the number of lifetimes lived. The developmental stages, namely infant, baby, young, mature, and old soul age, typically require a minimum of 7 lifetimes, often closer to 20, for each age. This happens as each soul age consists of 7 levels of development that must be completed before advancing to the next soul age, resulting in a total of 35 levels that one must experience before leaving the planet. Beyond the physical plane, there are 6 additional planes of existence to progress through before returning to the oneness of the Tao. From our earthly standpoint, this game spans an incredibly long duration. Let's start with infant souls. Infant souls grapple with matters of survival, and their life experiences tend to be primitive, leaning towards the rituals and customs of tribal cultures. These souls often choose incarnations near the equator, where environmental conditions are milder and more conducive for survival. With wide eyes and lacking sophistication, infant souls are ignorant of the ways of the modern world. They exhibit childlike behavior and primarily rely on their instinctive center to navigate through life. Without guidance from older, wiser souls who can impart the knowledge of right and wrong, they may react aggressively to perceived threats. Innately fearful and easily startled, infant souls may resort to violence without a sense of conscience. Countries with a significant number of infant souls include tribes in Africa and developing countries with a strong agricultural base, such as Cambodia and Honduras. Next, baby souls possess a strong need for structure and often adhere to beliefs rooted in dogma, such as religious fundamentalism. Their life experience revolves around rigid rules enforced by authority, dogma, strong family bonds, and strict adherence to the laws and norms of their institutions or culture. As a result, they typically prefer conventional medicine, medications, and surgery. Around sexual matters, there is uneasiness and some degree of shame or guilt. Holding strong views of right and wrong, they tend to see everything in black and white. Baby souls are extremely confident in their beliefs, which makes it challenging for them to understand opposing views. During this phase, self-reflection is not a prominent aspect of their personality. Countries with a notable presence of baby souls include the Middle East, except Saudi Arabia, much of Central and South America, and Ireland. Moving on to young souls, they are driven by a strong focus on success and personal achievement. They are in a phase of learning how to influence the world, perceiving others as potential targets for their impact. In the process of reaching the top, they may not pay much attention to what needs to be done or whom they step on or over. Their life experience is characterized by competitiveness, industriousness, independence, profit motivation, a win-lose mentality, and a relentless pursuit of prosperity. At this soul age, making money or gaining influence takes precedence, and the long-term consequences of actions may not hold significant importance. The issue of deforestation, overfishing, and other environmental damage is a consequence of living in a young soul culture that prioritizes quick financial gains. Although young souls are productive, industrious, and focused on achieving goals, their vision is often limited, and they are unlikely to question their motives or ethics. They fear the aging process and the natural decline of their bodies, going to great lengths to preserve their status and appearance. The most powerful places in the world, Japan, Hong Kong, Germany, Israel, Saudi Arabia, Australia, Canada, and the United States, all exhibit a young soul perceptivity. By the end of the young soul phase, an uneasiness arises, as if something is amiss. Despite possessing wealth, power, and acclaim, there is a sense that something is still lacking. The mature soul begins to question, who am I? Why am I here? These inquiries prompt them to explore their inner world and develop connections and relationships with others. They become more sensitive to other people's emotions, perceiving them as intensely as they experience their own. This heightened sensitivity can lead to intense and subjective experiences. Their lives become characterized by drama, emotions akin to a soap opera, a strong sense of identity, intimate connections, and empathy. Creativity flourishes, and both philosophy and art come into prominence. Mature souls often seek the company of other mature souls, forming communities where they can be understood. These communities can be found in places like the gay communities in Los Angeles, San Francisco, and New York, as well as in cities like Berkeley and Cambridge in the United States, and Amsterdam in Holland. During this phase, mature souls may purposefully turn away from well-paying, high-status positions in favor of pursuits that align with their developing priorities. They may opt for more casual, risky, and creative endeavors or those focused on making a positive impact on the world, such as addressing hunger, poverty, environmental concerns, or animal rights. Countries with a larger proportion of mature souls include developed European countries like England, Italy, and Greece. Additionally, post-communist countries like Poland and Russia, while no longer practicing equal wealth distribution, still retain the belief in theory. Old souls perceive the interconnectedness of all people and embrace the sense of being part of a greater whole. They strive to live by this understanding and avoid harming or judging others, emphasizing personal integrity in their interactions. Old souls detach from emotional intensities, gaining a more objective perspective on life's ups and downs. Having experienced multiple lifetimes in diverse cultures, old souls find it challenging to engage in the divisive games of right and wrong often seen in society. This broader perspective leads to a sense of calm, peace, and centeredness, but it can also make them appear passive or weak to others. They are often seen as eccentric due to their individualistic pursuit of inner perceptions and desires. While there is a strong motivation for spiritual growth, they may lack motivation when it comes to pursuing political or material success. Old souls prioritize their unconventional pursuits and seek work that supports their personal development. They may be drawn to fields like counseling, teaching, bodywork, gardening, and carpentry. Material possessions and societal norms hold less significance for old souls, who prioritize their inner journey. They may explore various philosophies and religions, gravitating towards teachings centered on love and those with which they resonate from past lives. Old souls are capable of unconditional love and non-judgment, which can sometimes lead them to appear emotionally distant. Self-esteem becomes a significant challenge during this phase as they work on self-forgiveness and self-love in a predominantly young soul society that may not fully understand or resonate with their deeper nature. Learning to love being in a body and finding pleasure and excitement in life on earth are key goals for old souls. Fame is less common among old souls, and if they do become famous, it is often to teach and share their wisdom, as the old soul level is associated with teaching. In any lifetime, a person will generally demonstrate their true soul age at the age of 35 years old and above. A person, no matter how old their soul is, typically will still cycle through challenges in prior soul ages like survival, right versus wrong, achievements, and relationships as they were growing up. The difference between a younger versus an older soul is that the older soul tends to go past these challenges much more quickly. Generally, individuals with a higher soul age tend to understand the views of those with lower soul ages, as they can assimilate more diverse viewpoints. However, the reverse is not necessarily true. Understanding soul age perceptivity is exceedingly helpful in comprehending the way other people think, their perspective on life, and gaining insight into their life tasks. Countries with a higher concentration of old souls include Iceland, Finland, and the Czech Republic. The current distribution of soul ages on the planet is as follows: 10% infant soul, 23% baby soul, 32% young soul, 24% mature soul, and 11% old soul. At present, the median soul age is young soul, but this is gradually shifting towards mature soul, which is projected to be completed around 2030. New infant souls are no longer being allowed to incarnate, especially considering Earth's transition to a new vibrational density. Any soul incarnating for the first time will face a constant catch-up game. Beyond the previously mentioned levels of soul consciousness, there are two more stages that surpass the typical human experiences from infant to old soul. These are known as the Transcendental Soul and the Infinite Soul. A Transcendental Soul represents an entity where all individual souls have completed their lifetimes on Earth. This entity may reside on higher planes, such as the astral and mental planes, and may decide to send a representative to the planet for teaching purposes. Due to the entity's high levels of consciousness, the representative, the Transcendental Soul, appears on Earth as a balanced being with easy access to higher centers and states of consciousness. Transcendental souls are always present on the planet, and their numbers increase during times of significant change. Examples of Transcendental souls include Paramahansa Yogananda, the author of Autobiography of a Yogi, and Rumi. Despite their exceptional consciousness, Transcendental souls are not always entirely self-aware. They may fall into illusions or maya, believing themselves to be a perfect master or the ultimate authority. Nevertheless, most Transcendental souls maintain a remarkable level of clarity, centeredness, and consciousness. Infinite souls embody the essence of all that is, representing the Tao or the ultimate source of existence. The consciousness of the entire universe is encapsulated within the essence of the Infinite Soul. This extraordinary being is fully self-aware and possesses superhuman abilities. Typically, the Infinite Soul enters into a person through a prior agreement, who is at the seventh level of Old or Transcendental Soul. The energy of the Infinite Soul is so immense that if it were to consistently dwell within a human body from birth, the body would not be able to sustain it for long. Thus, the Infinite Soul may choose to enter later in life, as exemplified by Jesus and Buddha, or manifest intermittently, as seen with Krishna and Lao Tzu. Infinite souls are always conspicuous, and their teachings center on the notions of oneness and love. After reviewing the concept of soul ages, we encourage you to share which soul age you believe you are in the comments below.